Well, I need to pull some 50 BMG bullets and redo some rounds I'd done. And I purchased a bullet puller. Sort of looks like this. It's really just a plier type device made out of a single piece of aluminum. The way it's supposed to work is the bullet goes up in there and then you crimp it and then it goes down inside your press and then you just pull the press down and that's supposed to pull the bullet out. The problem is there's no way to get enough friction on there by grasping this with your hand. It'll just pull, the bullet will stay with the case, won't pull out of a crimped neck at all, so this is totally worthless. So that goes right in the trash. But I thought about making a device that clamped with a couple of cap screws that would pull it together, and then that would, two-piece clamping device would sit on top of the press, and then I could pull the bullet out that way. And then I realized a collet would be a good way to do it. I was thinking about a 5C collet like you'd use in a lathe. And then I realized I've actually got some collets. I've got some ER20 collets I use in my milling machine. So that's what a collet looks like. It's got these little fingers on there. And this is a 13 millimeter collet, which is the right size for pulling a 50 BMG, which is a .510 bullet, 510 inches. So I think you could also use a 33/64 collet as well, but I had a 13 millimeter on hand, and for this to work you need the rest of it is the collet holder. This is they come in different types, but this is an ER20 collet holder that I happen to have. So the collet goes into the nut, it snaps into place there, and then the whole assembly threads in, and then as you thread it down, the nut crimps the collet on whatever you have in there. You shouldn't do it too tight if you don't have anything in there. But in this case I'm going to have the bullet go up inside the collet and then tighten it down. So we'll go ahead and do one. I'll show you what it looks like. So you have to have the right shell holder in the press, of course. So I put the bolt in there and I raise the press. Lower this down just until the collet touches the brass neck, and then I tighten by hand. Make sure you're not grabbing the neck. You don't want to be pulling on the neck, just the bullet. So I get it hand tight, and then you'll need a couple of wrenches. And the wrenches, one goes on a flat here on the collet holder, and then it goes on the collet nut. You just turn it half a turn, just enough to get it nice and tight. And then simply pull it. And if you didn't get the collet quite tight enough, it'll slip off. That one was apparently in there really hard, but then you can just loosen it back up and slide it down on there, and I'll give it a good tighten this time. And there it is. So you can dump the powder out of this. Save the powder, save the brass, save the primer, reload everything. And then the bullet, of course, is still stuck up in the collet. So to get that apart, just wrench flats back on there and just loosen it by hand. And the bolt just pops right out. And even with the one slip, there's a little bit of a marking on there, just a little bit of scuffing on there. But if it doesn't slip, they really look brand new. So this isn't like bullet pulling where the military surplus, the military comes in, yanks them all out. It's not quite like that. Using a collet's a much more gentle way to pull bullets. I might just do another one here, just to reinforce the concept. Raise the press. And there it is. And if you look on eBay, you can probably find collets. You can use a 5C collet or an ER20. Those would be the two I'd recommend. And you just look up 13 millimeter collet and ER20 collet, and then ER20 collet holder. And they're not very expensive. China's making some pretty good ones for pretty cheap money. So expect to pay you know, $4 or $5 for the collet probably, and maybe $10 for the holder. It's cheaper than any other way I've seen to pull a 50 BMG. I mean, some of those are $150 or so, and you know, it's kind of outrageous for just doing a few. Kind of hard to do this around the camera. It's a lot easier if you're not doing it for a video. And there it is. So that's your reloading tip of the day.